Let's talk about the countless gacha game scams. Now, this may be curious because what do we call it a scam here? Like weapon banner scam? Or like an actual scam from a gacha game? Because I don't think I know of any actual scams that have ever happened. So let's delve in, shall we?
Gacha games, known by many gamers as the scum of the earth, on the bottom of the gaming society's social caste system.
Yup.
Huddled up side by side with Candy Crush and Bloons Tower Defense 6, with hentai games being slightly above the three of them.
Above?
However, what if I were to say that...
Oh god.
What's that?
Oh no.
Did y'all just put a hit out on me for saying Bloons is ass? Well, anyway, gacha game scams. Let's talk about them. Now, what I mean when it comes to scams are not inherently specific gacha games themselves. Granted, stuff like FGO exists, so the extent of my tolerance towards saying that is tested in the face of the 200 pulls I did to get the equivalent of nothing except for half-breathed carbon dioxide, but I am talking about gacha game ripoffs. And there are some...
Okay, so actual ripoffs, not just bad systems, I guess.
Such as cash grabs for popular IPs, but those are about a dime a dozen to find, so I don't care to really talk about them. Instead, I'm going to talk about gachas that have stolen character designs, wasted thousands of dollars by players, were investigated by the government for breaches of contract, and completely rigged the gacha mechanics without the players knowing. But to start off with a small-scale scam...
Isn't that incredibly illegal?
Look at these two Arknights characters. On the left, we have Saria, and on the right, we got Leslie. Now, these two designs are fairly unique. I mean, they got the regular old Arknights features like horns and whatnot, because...
I like these two designs a hell of a fucking lot, actually. These are very nicely designed characters.
The game's 50% of the way to being tagged as a furry one. But the designs are pretty noticeable. They ain't out here looking like the average character in a MiHoYo game.
Damn. Shots fired, dude. I mean, I was gonna say you had to pick the two characters that look the most alike, but I guess that's kind of the point.
So with that being the case, I want you to imagine a way you can steal the designs without it being obvious. Like, if you were to be making a scam and, for whatever reason, decided stealing the designs of one of the most popular gacha games would be a goated idea, then how would you do it?
I would take both of these designs and just switch the weapon types, that is it. Or just switch the, like, hair and horns from each character. Like, use the exact same models, but just swap some features.
Because whatever you thought...
That's the stupidest idea.
I guarantee it was better than this shit, because goddamn thee did not even try this.
Oh my god. Everything is exactly the same. Holy fucking shit, this is... abysmally bad. What the hell?
This 1 million IQ scheme was done by a game called Girls' Mansion. They decided to steal the two, incredibly, damn unique, designs for their ads. Now, in response...
It's like corporate action to find the difference between these two pictures. They're the same picture.
To this, Arknights sued them and made the company agree to never steal Arknights' designs again, as well as having them pay a settlement amount. Now, generally, that's what the
good on Arknights, bro.
Story ends, and it makes for a good laugh, because after all, the lawsuit was settled in Hypergir's favor, and it's a pretty open and shut case.
Yeah.
But I actually wanted to dig deeper into this to see what's up, and because of that, I decided to download the game. Now, to do this, I had to find
Arknights or the weird one?
The original Chinese version of Hypergir's statement on the game, and use my non-existent understanding of the Chinese language to figure out which of the quoted games was not titled Arknights. Now, from there, I copied the name and threw it into Google, landing me on, honestly, some of the sketchiest fucking sites I've ever witnessed.
Jesus Christ. Is this like an emulator site?
One of them had a big green download button, which, as you all know, is not a recipe for disaster in the slightest. So I clicked download it about 30 fucking minutes later. Don't know why this shit took so long, considering it was 136 megabytes. The game...
Dude, I noticed that whenever I use like BlueStacks or something to download a game, bro, it always takes so fucking long to download. Even like zip files from Google Drive sometimes. Like, yeah, APK stuff takes fucking years sometimes. I do not get it.
Game, or possible virus, was downloaded. And
yeah, probably malware, spyware, something.
Yes, don't worry, I scanned it with virus total. Only one vendor said it was a Trojan. So I'm sure it's fine. Now, after asking for my fucking location, it went to download the bulk of what I can only pray is a video game. And I need Chinese citizenship to sign up. Fuck. Well, boys, we tried hard, but it appears the battle has been lost. However, in place of playing that game, there is one scam I was able to get my hands on.
Brother, what the that's a thing?
Winning Derby. Now, this is a... I was gonna say clone or copy, but that feels a little generous given...
Horse girl anime gacha!
...what it is. This is a deformed abomination wearing the rotted skin of Uma Musume. Now you see, Uma Musume...
No way they tried to rip Uma Musume, dude!
...is a game in which you get horse girls and race them. You know, every time I say that, I'm still confused on how this game pulls in millions, but at the same time, I ain't really mad at it. Get that bag. However, within getting that horse girl bag, some other companies decided, hey, that shit don't look half bad. Wouldn't mind getting a slice of that pie myself. Let's forget about the fact that the Yakuza is pretty invested with their company, and...
Yeah, I found this very interesting, bro. Apparently, and don't quote me on this. In fact, fuck it. Please quote me on this. Apparently, if anybody draws like NSFW art of the Uma Musume horse girls, the Yakuza literally go after them. That is so fucking based and funny, dude. Like, I don't even know if based is the right word, but I don't care. It's so fucking funny.
Also threatens doujin artists to not make hentai of the characters. And within forgetting that, they decided to make Uma Musume but dog shit. I see, they basically took the gameplay loop of it, dumbed it down to where a toddler could play it because a fully developed brain is not within the target audience for this.
I mean, the artwork is the artwork AI? Before I say it looks down, I mean, it does look nice.
Slop. And sprinkled on top of this delightful package is AI art.
Fuck. I should just shut my fucking mouth, I guess.
Yep. Everything in it is AI art.
Everything.
Deadass. This shit ain't even like AI assisted art or maybe Photoshop to hide.
See, here's the interesting thing. This to me is obviously AI, but this on the left isn't. They look so similar, but because of the like cell shading of this or something, just the way that they look, I don't know. It's so hard for me to tell.
Hide it? Nah. This is the most obvious shit known to man. You can take a caveman from the Stone Ages and they'd probably be able to sniff it out. And the text of the game, I'm pretty sure, is also AI translated, because the formatting is beyond ass. It flows like a leaking septic tank.
I'm sorry, what did that just say?
It's also AI translated, because the formatting
in specific types of... It didn't even reach the whole line, bro.
Is beyond ass. It flows like a leaking septic tank, and they didn't type out stamina correctly. Brother, why?
Stamina.
That is a question that will permeate the depths of my soul because I cannot understand who this game is for. It's kind of like the Minecraft ripoffs you see on app.
It's probably for the people that want to play Uma Musume, but can't fucking figure out how to type in Uma Musume. So instead they type in winning derby, whatever the fuck this is.
Except the difference is those would either be free or incredibly cheap for the game. Meanwhile, you expect people to gamble for AI art. Goddamn.
Oh, it is also a gacha game, yeah.
Shit makes
full
the
gacha.
NFT idiots look like geniuses. And you may think to yourself, well, I mean, the gambling makes it so you can see them in gameplay. So at the very least, even if it is AI art, the models will be unique on their own. Well, here's the thing about that. Within the desaturated hellscape one might mistake as gameplay,
it's definitely lacking the animation quality that Uma Musume has.
The godforsaken 3D models do not even look like the generated abominations you gamble for.
They look the fucking same, bro. I literally look at this character, and this character behind this one, and literally the only difference is the shoes.
Forsaken 3D models,
and that's only on one of them,
do not even look like the generated abominations you gamble for.
What the hell?
They were too lazy to even try and make 3D models that looked vaguely similar to what blind people can misinterpret as waifus.
Insane,
now the gambit is, from my understanding, a ripoff of Uma Musume that is done in the most... bare bones is a generous description, done in a way that would only be as satisfying.
They're the same characters. What?
Game if it was the last thing someone could play in the event of a nuclear apocalypse. Now from there, the genius creators decided to use AI art, probably because no real artist would have wanted their name attached to this, and decided to whip out ChatGPT's free plan to translate it into English.
Yeah, this is fucking terrible. This is a scam.
This did not culminate into a successful project. Instead, it's something that is considered a scam, which... I gotta say, masterful gambit. But funnily enough, turns out Uma Musume did not sue them for this game. And that sounds like a good thing for the company. After all, Uma Musume can probably drag them down to the depths of Tartarus if they really wanted to.
Yeah, Uma Musume has made so much money, it makes me tear up. Deadass. I did not realize that in the first like 2 years it made $2 billion US.
However, in place of that, they are being investigated by the government of Hong Kong. Now what I was able to gather from the only article I've seen about this, which wasn't natively in English, is Hong Kong has a program set up to give local developers funds to create games. I would imagine the purpose behind it is to support local businesses within the gaming sphere, as that's generally dominated by many other countries. Now from there, the loan was given to many different companies, including the creators of Uma Musume Skinwalker Edition.
They got a grant?
The thing is though, it has a clause saying that the content cannot be plagiarized, and on that note, here's a
Are they stupid as shit, bro? The fucking thing has a clause saying you cannot plagiarize content, so they literally take a game and reskin it with AI art. That is like literally everything AI about it, but it's just Uma Musume, but shit.
Completely unrelated pick from the article describing this investigation. So if it's determined that they violated the agreement via plagiarism, then they need to return up to $70,000 US to the government, with interest. Yeah, honestly, there are some geniuses with this one. And it is important to note that the branch for the program did say that during development of the game, they had not noticed anything that would violate the terms. However, after it released, and anyone who had briefly heard the words Uma Musume in passing saw it, they all called it a ripoff, thus prompting the investigation. Now, I tried to find the result of this investigation, but not much info came up. I mean, the latest article I found was a Japanese one made in late August, but that still only talks about the investigation.
And that was 2023.
Oh
no, August 23rd, I guess.
The results of it. However, I was able to find something interesting. So for the Tokyo Game Show that's happening at the time of writing this,
I was at that one. I was at that Tokyo Game Show
script right now. The Hong Kong Game Enhancement and Promotion Scheme has floor space, and they're showing off 12 domestically made games.
Oh no.
Winning Derby being one of
no fucking shot
of them. So I wasn't able to find if the investigation resulted in them needing to return that money. If I were to hold a guess, I'd say
there's no way this is still a successful enough game that they could like even afford a spot at Tokyo Game Show, right? No shot.
The investigation is still ongoing, and them being at the Tokyo Game Show means one of two things. Either one, it's because, according to the contract, in addition to gaining money, they were to be given floor space at the Tokyo Game Show. So even if they are under investigation, if it has not been revealed for them to have breached contract, then they are still under contract, which means they should have floor space. And the other possibility could be that they cleared up the situation already and it was determined to not be plagiarized. Now, regardless,
there's no fucking shot, right?
Of the outcome, if Uma Musume,
even the horse name's the same,
is standing behind them just waiting to bring them out back and ship their body to 50 different countries, that remains to be seen. However, when it comes to big IPs, there is one scam to talk about.
Do y'all think big games that clearly get plagiarized from are, like, do you think it's a good thing that they go after these smaller games and like sue them for everything they're worth, or nah? What do you think about that? I think it's a good thing. I think more games should do it. I think it's blatant plagiarism. I think it kills creativity and originality, and it's just fucking bottom of the barrel scumbaggery.
Harry Potter Magic Awakened. So to talk about what the game did to scam people, let's set the stage. The game had an event where any of the premium currency you bought, named Starstones, were doubled. It's the basic gacha mechanic.
Pokemon Company did this to Palworld? No, they didn't. Pokemon situation is very, very different. They did not sue the game or go after them for copying them, quote unquote, in their own words. They patented a game mechanic and went after them for that, which is honestly, it's fucking scumbag for Nintendo, to be honest, not Palworld.
Of buy this pack of currency in a 2-for-1 deal, so everyone uses the opportunity to cash in on the deal and get a shit ton of gems. After all, they could be used to buy packs and paid items, so getting it on sale essentially meant getting those packs on sale, until they changed how the packs worked. You see, they made it so when you go to buy the paid items and packs, you don't need to use that premium currency. Instead, you could just buy it straight with real money. Meaning, anyone who spent money to buy that premium currency to then use it in buying future packs can no longer use it for that. They made use of the deal under the assumption that the gems would continue to be used how they normally were, and then they were made to be not worthless, but worth less. And
wait, this was a thing? Okay, I'm gonna keep it a buck, bro. I didn't even know fucking Harry Potter had a gacha game. What am I looking at right now? Second of all, what?
The response to this was, I mean, you could probably imagine. A hashtag saying the game was scamming people got onto the trending list of Chinese social media, as this was prior to it being released on global. Now, one would hope that with this game being a thing, it was only a one-time fuck-up, not a pattern of behavior or anything.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. Before this game happened, they had a case of false advertising. There was this pack that was up for purchase, and it was worded and shown in a way to make the buyers believe that after spending money for it, they would receive everything in it immediately. However, to get the items people really wanted, it turns out that, after purchasing it, they needed to increase their level to 100. And to do that, they either needed to play every day or, in some cases, purchase stamina so they could feasibly level up to 100 in that time limit. The pack was framed in a way to where people were misled in thinking that, for fucking paying money, they would receive what was advertised to them. But after buying it, they were told they either got to spend more for stamina refills to actually get what they had already paid for, or they have to grind this shit like a full-time job. Now, in response to people being pissed as hell about this, they did compensate players who bought it by giving them the items outright. Which is good, but when you look at what they did,
this should never have been a fucking problem to begin with, bro. Why isn't this kind of shit illegal for games to do, dude? If you sell something, players should get what they are buying. How is that so hard to understand? You don't buy a fucking flight and then expect the fucking airline to, or be okay with the airline being like, yeah, I know you bought the ticket to Japan, but we're gonna drop you off in fucking Florida. Fuck off! No, you buy something, you get what you buy.
A couple of years later, yeah, it doesn't precisely paint the greatest faith for them. However, in all this,
Sorry, Floridians, I just picked the worst place I could possibly imagine.
The weirdest part is, I heard the game itself is not half bad. which might come as a shock considering when you see a notable IP made a gacha game, yeah, that's a pretty good track record for it to be some dog shit. But from what I heard, Mismanagement really hurt the game, so much so that the global version is shutting down late October this year. And
honestly, probably the best thing that could happen to it.
With that being the case, there's something that I've always questioned when it comes to situations like this. If your game is good, then why do companies feel the need to scam their players or make really short-sighted business decisions for
greed
profit when a game with staying power would make them more money?
I think it's literally just greed.
And in terms of an answer, I don't particularly know one. I'd say there's probably a couple of different reasons.
Yeah.
Maybe internal data revealed whatever game they had wasn't going to last long, so they decided to cash out while interest was still high.
More than likely.
Shit, look at Tower of Fantasy. The game itself is definitely...
oh my god, guys, I am doing something. Hopefully this month, maybe next. That it's not sponsored. I had a comment on one of my YouTube videos, and they said Brand should become the Josh Strife Hayes of gacha games, just like trying out gachas that people say are bad, so that other people don't have to. And give my genuine thoughts on it. So I might unironically be playing Tower of Fantasy for the first time in 2025, bro, to start off the series.
More than playable, but the numbers it's pulling in isn't really the most insane thing.
God.
Maybe it would have been a more viable strategy to release some...
Isn't it out of service? I don't think so, right?
Beyond insane value pack when the game was popping off to cash in on the lightning in a bottle. Or, to take a more fucked up approach, maybe they would have driven sunk cost fallacy and had more people stick with the game.
True.
Now, I'm not saying that they should have done this, but I am wondering if, from a place of pure profits, if something like this would have explained why some companies seem to cash out on their games instead of trying to build them into a long-term game, like FGO with it having lived longer than the goddamn dinosaurs. But then you look at this game, something that, aside from the scams and the other regions' versions, did fairly well
though, because this actually looks like a decent game
due to it being good. Then on the global side, they decide to remove content from the battle pass, skyrocket the cost of stuff by up to 100 times, and yeah, made a skin that costs $100. Brother, why? What do you stand to gain from this except for...
Brother, that is fucking nuts!
Your inevitable shutdown. But I suppose for a silver lining, at least players were able to look at this stuff happening and get a feel to not spend in the game, or at the bare minimum, spend less. Because my personal perspective is that if a company is not respecting you as a player, don't respect them. They don't deserve your money, they need to earn it. But that perspective only works when the company gives you a reason to be pissed at them, and at times, they don't foreshadow fucking you over. Which is precisely the case of what happened with the global version of Princess Connect.
Oh god, we're on to another one. Nintendo patented a creature capture mechanic will get him in hot water with the creators of Dragon Quest, Digimon, and Shin Megami Tensei, all of which came before Pokemon. Not necessarily because they were very specific with their patent. I made a whole video about this shit on the second channel, so I did a lot of research on it. The patent specifically wasn't just for capturing a creature. It was very specific so that it didn't affect other games other than Palworld, or at least any other big ones. I'm pretty sure it was something like specifically capturing and taming a creature within a spherical object, or like by throwing a spherical object. It was something incredibly specific.
Announced to players that any month, the game's global version will be shut down. Yep.
Damn.
Out of the blue and only a month left to really play the game.
Hey, stop killing games, bro. And then these devs will be... Well, actually, I don't know if a live service stuff like this, but a lot of the time, these kind of things will happen less. And also, when they do happen, the servers will be handed over to somebody else or the community to uphold.
Now, it's not like the global version was looking like it was thrown into a meat grinder prior to this announcement. After all, the money it brought in wasn't insane by any metric, but given the type of game Princess Connect was, it wasn't really expected to collapse with these numbers. Okay. Especially when you factor in how a bit before this announcement, the game got a pretty big update, and also, to a more fucked up note, they had a pack to help progression in the game for new players, which, yeah, but thankfully...
Yeah, I don't fucking like that. But this looks very, like, well animated.
At the time the game was hacked into 1 million not-so-connected princesses, Crunchyroll made an article talking about the loss of losing a game you love. So maybe the people Crunchyroll screwed over can find solace in that? But the fact remains that seemingly out of the blue, a game people have spent so much money on was axed. Now, the precise reason, we don't know. Some have speculated it's due to a future update making the gacha more free-to-play friendly, and maybe that would have hurt sales to an unsustainable point. Or maybe the...
If your gacha game fails because you go away from a very much pay-to-progress model, if the only reason your gacha game was successful is because you literally have shit in the game where it's like new players can buy it to help them progress more, that's just the sign of a terrible game, right? Or am I crazy for that take? I feel like that's just a sign of a bad game if people don't want to spend on other stuff just to progress.
Sales were just never able to survive on their own. Others said maybe the license needed to be renewed and they didn't have the money for it. I mean, we could throw out many different possibilities, but no one really knows. The most we do know is that this chalks up to another reason to not like Crunchyroll as a game publisher, as they have a long history of making gacha games less free-to-play friendly and not managing them well. In some cases, their rights to publish were taken back by the developers. On the thread made years ago announcing that Princess Connect was going to be published by Crunchyroll, you had people saying it was fucked. Which, yeah, we're gonna call them prophets because they scouted that shit. Now, maybe to some, a situation such as this doesn't classify as a scam. Maybe instead, some just think it's a risk you take when...
Sadly, a lot of people pay to get to the end quick. Best example is WoW. I agree, and I think it's fine to have those items in the game, but if your game dies because then you stop making enough revenue to sustain it because the main source of income was from people buying those items, that's where it's kind of fucked up, right? I'm all for spending to save a little bit of time. I don't exactly see it as pay to win under certain situations. Like I say, like World of Warcraft, for example, makes its money from the subscription fees and from other stuff, and other games that have like pay to progress or pay to skip content and stuff typically make the majority of their money by other means.
Playing a live service game, which is entirely true. With many live service games, you need to be prepared for your ability to play them to just vanish if it's no longer profitable. However, with that being the case, when we have a company that does this out of the blue after having just sold a new player pack and they have a history of screwing over so many games they've published,
it's a bad luck, dude.
Yeah, it doesn't paint the cleanest picture. Like, when you have a storied history of taking on the role of a publisher, then mishandling the game so much to where you can make a Fortnite montage of their deaths, I ain't gonna view the company with that much faith. As shutting down a dying game is understandable, and players can generally scout that out. When Revived Witch died, no one was surprised considering the fact it was pulling...
Is this an actual thing on Gacha reports? If the game goes like EOS, it literally just gets a fucking skull and crossbone. Wow, Girls Frontline 1 dropped at 90k that month. That's crazy, bro. Wait, why is it there twice, though? Oh, that's Japan only. That's global. Okay.
And
makes sense.
A 1 out of 3,350th of what Genshin was making.
Uma Musume in 2023 was making 76 million just in Japan. That is... Bro.
Well, in a case like that, I don't feel as though many people can be mad because even though it was shutting down, the most obvious writing is on the wall. Whilst a situation like this feels purely motivated to maximize profits so they can send employees to work on their next gacha game, which in this case was Street Fighter Duel. And let's look at how that game is doing. Made a collab free-to-play friendly character require $5,000 to max out. Scripted roles. Must roll with paid-only currency. Yeah, can't say I'm surprised. Oh, what's that about the Akuma banner? Limited character that you can't summon with premium currency. Must use paid-only rolls. No pity. Cost $100 for 50 pulls. Yeah, bro, what the fuck is this shit?
No pity system, and you have to use paid currency to pull. That is fucking abysmal. Let me know what this company is so I never play a single one of their games, and that is actually wild.
Shit. However, aside from Crunchyroll games being that, on the note of scripted pulls, there is one legal case that's pretty interesting. So back in, well, January of this year, Nexon was sued for $9 million by South Korea's Fair Trade Commission.
Nexon is a huge developer, right?
The reason was that between 2010 and 2021, they had changed the drop rates for their banners in MapleStory without telling the players rolling on it.
Wait, MapleStory?
With the drop rates for really sought-after cubes, which is what people were gotching for, to 0.00001%. Meanwhile, Nexon was out here saying that the drop rates were not changed behind the scenes. And the response to the government suing them over lying and misleading players about the drop rates? This issue pertains to the period before 2016 when there was no obligation to disclose information about probability-based items. The KFTC's retrospective sanctions will greatly shrink Korea's gaming industry.
Bro, that should be illegal. What?
In other words, they don't give a flying fuck. The deadass went, yep, we scammed them hoes, but conversely, there wasn't a law saying it was bad to lie about probabilities.
Holy fuck, so yeah, they just said, we scammed you, but it's not illegal, so fucking deal with it.
And that's not all. They literally have a patent for dynamic pull rates, meaning if you play a lot, your chance to get something decreases. If you play less, it increases.
Oh my god, the kind of backwards-ass fucking logic. They have a patent over this. If you play the game a lot, your luck decreases. But if you only play every now and then, you have better odds. Scumbag as fuck, bro. What the hell?
Your location also changes the rate, probably to make it so high-income areas have worse rates because those players will more likely have disposable income.
Oh my god, that is disgusting. That is disgusting, dude. Nexon Games supposed to have no pity. Did you know about this? MapleStory? They have a patent, or Nexon have a patent over some of their stuff.
Yeah.
where if you play the game a lot, your chances to get like a 5-star decreases. If you don't play the game much, it increases, and it also changes based on like where you are in the world. So like richer areas have lower chances, so they spend more. It's fucking insane. Let's continue.
If your gacha items exceed a limit, decrease your rates. Rates change if you got friends on your list, probably to make it so people with a lot of friends can show off their good gacha results, thus making more people.
Huh? Wait, explain this again. Hold on.
Income. If your gacha items exceed a limit, decrease your rates. Rates change if you got friends on your list, probably to make it so people with a lot of friends can show off their good gacha results.
If you have a lot of friends on your list, you're luckier,
thus making more people want to roll. Change your rates depending on your friend's stats, and then change them again based on the rarity of the gacha and based on your current items. And in case you're wondering what the patent is, let's go to the Korean patent catalog. Throw in this number, and there's Nexon's scummy ass pulling up. Now, since it's originally in Korean, we gotta rely on shitty machine translations, but you can still see that, yeah, all of this is in the patent. They legitimately have a patent for scamming motherfuckers. And to be absolutely clear, we just know they have this patent, but I don't believe we know exactly which games use it. After all, they've made a ton of games and it could be in any of them. So I don't want to give the impression that this patent...
Holy fuck, hold on. Nexon games. They made Blue Archive, The Finals, Maple Story. Jesus Christ, bro, this is not good.
Is being used in like Blue Archive or something. Because to make a claim like that, I would want to see undeniable proof of it. But I can't exactly look at the patent in the most innocent way, knowing what they did with Maple Story. So I'm not saying Nexon is using this patent in any specific game, but I am saying that they have it, and we've seen rather interesting behavior when it comes to Maple Story.
This is by far the worst one yet, and this isn't the last one. Are you telling me there's a worse one than this?
So I can't exactly think using this in many of their games would be beyond them. Now, does this patent being made public matter to them? Hell no. They know how gacha addiction works. This ain't gonna hurt them much. Even if it was dead to rights that they've used this in every single game they've made, I don't think it would hurt their bottom line that much. And do you think they care about being sued for $9 million?
Absolutely
Hell no. The money they got from scamming people was worth a hell of a lot more than $9 million. They straight up would have made less if they didn't have to pay that fine by just playing everything above board. Which
true, that is true.
Is crazy to say out loud. As for something like the Winning Derby game I covered, that's easy to look at and go, yep, pile of shit. But for Nexon, unless you've heard the news about this, which, let's keep it a million, how many fucking people pay attention to gacha game news? Much less how many people in the West are willing...
Honestly, a lot of people. However, I don't think a lot of people pay attention to this type of gacha game news. Unless it pertains to them. If this was a Genshin thing, bro, the internet would be on fire with it, I guarantee you.
To hear about lawsuits in Korea over mechanics and patents for gacha games. And if you haven't heard about it, you're getting scammed while just thinking every pull you're doing is fine with the proposed gacha rates.
100%.
Supposing that they're using the patent as aside from Maple Story, we don't know with absolute certainty that they're fucking with the rates of their other games. Though I sincerely doubt
I would never trust that company ever fucking again.
Any lawsuits would stop them from scamming players based on rates, unless the lawsuits start pulling in a notable percentage of their revenue. And lying about rates has been done before by Granblue Fantasy. Well, maybe
not Granblue. Wait, I thought Granblue was one of the good ones.
Not lying about rates. You see, it had banners pertaining to the Chinese zodiac animals, and for the second animal banner, Monkey, the rate to pull her specific rarity was 3%. However, for that 3%, two other characters shared a rate up in that pool. Now, at this time, the rates per character were not listed, so all players assumed that the rate up for the 3 characters of that rarity was the same percentage. Then a streamer decided to pull on stream. He proceeded to spend over $6,000 on the Monkey banner to just get one copy of her. Homie spent 6 bands on a damn lolly monkey. Both.
Oh my god. Cats. Hey, cutie. Hi as well. Should we give you...
Nice, just moving him around.
I love the cats, man. I love them. All right, let's go.
Of her. Homie spent 6 bands on a damn lolly monkey. Both in these roles, he got multiple copies of the other 2 rate-up characters, and he wasn't alone. Many people had the same experience and even pulled up the numbers to show that the rate-up for the monkey was not anywhere near as much as the other 2 characters.
So did they just straight up
this
lie?
caused players to go ballistic because even though the rates were never listed, many people were under the impression that the rate for the 3 characters would be equal. And due to the outrage over this, Cygames apologized and made it so the rates per character would be displayed and introduced the sparking system, where if after 300 pulls you did not get the limited character, you can guarantee them. Granted, that still is about $1,000, so Christ.
That's $1,000 for one character is fucking insane,
still
bro.
Is an improvement. And they also refunded all pulls on the banner that players did, so any pull you spent on...
You know what? Big fucking props to them for that. Holy shit. That is a good fucking move.
Still is an improvement. And they also refunded all pulls on the banner that players did, so any pull you spent on it was entirely free. So all in all, they had the best response they could have to this situation.
No, the best response would have been making it cost less than $1,000 for guaranteed one character and refunding, but you take what you get at that point.
I mean, that's a much better response than Nexon saying they played some hoes and Crunchyroll doing some dumb shit like this to just later bring the game out back and empty a 12 gauge into its cranium.
True.
And due to this, a list of guidelines was published that recommended gachas to have their rates listed for players, which meant this was more or less the birth of gachas displaying their character drop rates, so at least it has a good ending. However, that is...
Granblue did that for us, guys, for us.
Within truth, only a brief outlook into the world of gacha game scams, which are not only insanely profitable, but even if you do face investigation or lawsuits, it appears that shit like that won't mean much in the face of the money you can make.
Insane,
and honestly, in saying that, I've come to the realization that that statement doesn't just cover gacha game scams, but honestly, business as a whole. Now, when it comes to the question on if a consumer can do something to fix all this, the answer is no. There's nothing. I'm going to keep it a million with you. There's not much an average player can really do to sway things like this. Much less an average Western player, because after all revenue from the West is a speck of dust when compared to the East. So even if a large-scale protest happened to try and boycott these games, I don't think it would work.
Nah, boycotts just don't work, bro. Boycotts just do not fucking work, because people are too addicted to these goddamn gacha games to actually do a proper boycott. People will say they're boycotting while literally, like, being logged into the fucking game. People will say that they're boycotting Genshin, and then they will literally post a clip of fucking Diluc one-shotting a boss the day after. People will say they're boycotting and then start tweeting about the game. I can't wait until this fucking character comes out. Oh my god. People will boycott, yet still go all over social media, like branding the company all over their pages, using like the character profile pictures and still talking about the goddamn game. Boycotts do not work in gacha games. I will happily be proven wrong at some point, but the amount of times I've seen them be attempted and die within the first couple of days because people just cannot fucking stick to it is insane.
An example, the Natlan protest for Genshin. You had millions of people talking about it, paying attention.
Was there a protest for Natlan?
Would work. An example, the Natlan protest for Genshin. You had millions of people talking about it, paying attention to it, and many participating in it. The result? Nothing. In fact, you had many people who protested Natlan suddenly drop their morals they paraded so much the second it became less popular to say you're boycotting Genshin. Hell, even the boycotts of Genshin said it was still fine to play the...
Do review bomb, like and retweet, share posts from us, share posts from BIPOC, spread the word, tell a friend, encourage others to speak up, respond to surveys, send complaints to customer support, silent petition, contact actual ambassadors, post in official Hoyoverse accounts comments, mute and block trolls. Don't make any additional purchases. Participate in giveaways, participate in Hoyoverse economic floor, battle, harass and threaten voice actors, artists, or any content creator, send threats to customer support, interact with racists, speak over people who are indigenous or affected. What was this boycott for? Skin color. Oh, bro, my fucking timelines are all fucked up, man. I thought that was Sumeru. Or was it this? Was it just the same issue again with Natlan? Was it the like same issue as Sumeru, but for Natlan? So it was the same problem for both nations. Same issue again. Fucking hell, bro. I mean, understandable.
A game, like what the hell?
Understandable. I think. Do you know? The whole situation was, I remember it for Sumeru. Oh my god, I do fucking remember this. Never mind. Yeah, I remember it for Sumeru, and it ended up, if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong here, the whole Sumeru, I don't even know if that was necessarily a boycott, but the discontent shown by people. And then I think it got to a point where people that, number one, were not affected by it, but also had good intentions, were trying to speak out and support the kind of movement. But then it was also just overshadowing the people that kind of felt affected by it and were affected by it. And then I think for Natlan, people just didn't want to speak up on it that weren't actually affected by it. But I just want more diversity in general, bro. I want red characters. I want blue characters. I want characters with fucking horns and tails and fucking four legs. Like, you know, I love just having a super sick, diverse character list, which I think is, was it Art Knights or Limbus? I think Art Knights, right? Where the world building saga, because a lot of the different like cities or whatever they're called in Arknights have different races, like entirely different races. You talk, yeah, one character, guys. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. Yeah, Arknights, very interesting, very, very interesting.
And I'm not saying this to shit on the people who play Genshin. I'm just using it as an example to say that, yeah, many of these boycotts and protests don't really pan out. In some cases, it's because they were handled as well as dropping a hydrogen bomb into a dumpster fire, or the company that was being boycotted against just didn't care. Or maybe a large part of the people saying they care about the cause really don't and are just saying that for brownie points. There's many reasons as to why protests don't pan out, and in truth, I don't know if I could really hate the people that genuinely care to protest and later went on to play the game when they saw the protests fade away. Because I do feel a general sense of resignation can lead people to not caring and just going with the flow.
100%.
The only people I really dislike when it comes to stuff like this are the ones who will say they care about the cause, knowing full well that when people no longer care about it as much.
Casually lumping Genshin players with the boycotter? I don't think he's doing that. I think he just explained that he's not doing that, right?
He would have already cashed in on being one of the most vocal protesters. And from there, business as usual, back to playing the game.
Yeah.
I just really dislike when people will parade fake morals for their own gain, which is done abundantly. But that's why I think protests against things like this might not do much. End of the day, the most we could do as consumers is vote with our wallet.
Skin color is a non-issue. If you complain about skin color, you ask yourself as an actual racist. I think a lot of people were just wanting to be represented in more than one way, and they got represented in a few different ways, but skin color just wasn't one of those, and that's what they would have liked. It doesn't affect me. I'm not a part of that, right? I'm a fucking white guy. I don't really have a say on it. I'm not going to shut down other people's takes on just wanting to be represented based on skin color, though. That seems kind of fucking stupid to me. I don't know.
Wallet, but when one whale's wallet holds the weight of 2,000 players, how much does your vote matter? And honestly, fuck, I didn't mean for the end of this video to become depressing. Jesus.
The only people that deserve to complain are the ones that are affected by it, nobody else. Yeah, pretty much.
Just want to joke about gacha game scams, but there is definitely something to be said about how much a player's opinion matters. To end this video on a bright note, just know that regardless of how much you fuck up in life, at least you're not the people who decided to rip off Uma Musume using AIR.
Subscribe.